5, 6, 7, 8. It's a mess, sis. Oh, it's a mess.
Hello, everybody, and welcome to the podcast. It's a mess, sis. So, what exactly is a mess? A mess is a situation or a state of affairs that is confused or full of difficulties.
The mess is when things don't go the way you plan. It is when you have to go off script, improvise, ad lib, sit through the awkwardness, and breathe through the pain until you come out on the other side, because you will come out on the other side. It is everything that makes life interesting and transformative. It is what we are here to do. It is how we learn how to be.
So, join us as we dive into this week's mess.
Hello, everybody, and welcome back to It's a Mess, Sis, my favorite podcast. I'm Jess, working through the mess, and I'm so glad you came back to hang out with us again.
Hey, everybody. I'm Rena. I'm your other host. That's it.
Wonderful, beautiful. It's so succinct. I love that.
That's how I like it.
You folks are joining us for episode 69. Ooh, 69. We should have made it like a little joke, but we didn't. Anyway, you guys are joining us for episode 69. I don't want to leave, but I gotta go right now. I don't want to leave, but I gotta go right now. Yeah. Oh, I knew that one. Okay, so we'll dive into that in just a little bit, but before we do, we have a segment called What's the Mess? So I'm going to ask Rena, what's your mess?
My mess is this entire topic.
Oh, wow.
I still have it settled on an apartment.
Okay.
And it just turned the 19th, but it was the 18th. So I got 10 days. Well, now I got 9.
Wow.
Decide on where I'm going to live. I have options. I just need to pick one. Well, actually, no. The one option I'm waiting for ain't really trying to pick me. So maybe I only have one option and I should just pick that.
Okay. Is it an option if you don't have no other choice?
Like homelessness.
I guess you could do that.
Always an option.
You're right.
I was in my car driving my Maxima and I was like reclining and I was like,
oh wait. It's not so bad.
So if I fold my arms like I'm in a coffin, it could work.
Oh, fucking weak. Oh, it'd be so ridiculous.
But so that's my mess. But I'm oddly really, really chill about it. Good. So that's the good part. Also, I just got in from a vacation.
Very nice.
Went to Nashville, Tennessee, which was really exciting. I really enjoyed it. It was hot, but I survived.
Yeah.
And that was a lot of fun. Then on the way back home, I blew my tire because apparently they need to be rotated.
Yeah.
And I don't know if they ever were. It looked like it.
In the history of the car?
I feel like I told them to.
Oh my God.
It didn't look like it. It honestly looked like somebody took a skin graft of my tire and put it on somebody else's tire. Like,
oh my Lord.
Like I ain't never seen tires look like that. Like I was like, I didn't know rubber had like thread in it.
Tire tread.
There you go. Yeah. But thread. Like wasn't no tread, just literally was like a chunk of it, just like carved off like a Thanksgiving turkey.
It's a good thing you didn't do more damage. That's crazy.
Right. And I that light went off and I was like, that's odd because I just put air in all these tires.
Yeah.
And it went from like 33 to 15 PSI. And then that whole went to 12. And I was like, I don't think I can drive on 12.
Yeah.
But I was fortunate enough to like land in a McDonald's parking lot. I got somebody to help me. I was really calm throughout the whole experience. And I'm just
that's good.
Yeah, I think my message is that I'm just really chill about
everything. She said, I'm about to be homeless. Fuck it. My tires bald in a bitch. Fuck it.
Not right? Bald-headed tires, you know what I'm saying?
No, like, that's dope though. It seems like a lot of what we've been doing in this podcast is kind of working in like real life situations. And I love that because grace and ease through it all. It's like, okay, I have an option. It may not be the one I want, but it's there. The tire blew, but I had a spare and I had help. There's always a lot of times there's a silver lining in a lot of these situations.
That is a great perspective on my mess, and I'm very grateful and appreciative for it, because I was thinking it was mental illness why I'm so calm. But
That's
you know what?
fucking hilarious.
You're so right. Maybe it's just, I did feel grateful and supported by the universe that the tire didn't blow completely and smash through the rotor and, make the car undrivable.
Absolutely.
So maybe this is working. What?
Not mental illness. No, but yeah, I mean, we're using these things in practice. It's important to know that life is not going to stop lifing. Things will continue to happen. Tires will blow. Apartments will be expensive, or you'll move somewhere you don't want. Whatever these things are going to continue to happen. What's going to change is how you respond to them, how you react, how you feel when these things are happening. And I think that's beautiful that through it all, you were like, I'm grateful that I had the money to have somebody come help me, because that could have been a situation that you didn't have. Your tire could have blew, and like my brother's tire blew one time, and it blew the back of the car, not out, but like the paneling. Nothing like dangerous, super dangerous, but it like the car was like really messed up. I mean, so things could be a lot worse. So that's lovely though.
Yeah,
I'm glad to hear that you're okay.
I am okay. Yeah, I think through all the pessimism, there is a silver lining just in there, nestled in there, buried deep. No, I did really feel like, dang, somebody really had me, because this really, when I saw that tire, I was like, ooh, that's bad. That could have really turned out poorly for me. I literally felt like somebody must have lifted this car off the highway, got me to this McDonald's, because I don't know how I made it.
Yeah.
So, somebody really has been looking out for me. So maybe I do feel like I'm just kind of settling into the support. So yes, I needed that perspective. I
love that for you though. That's awesome.
What about you? What's your mess?
My mess is that this is the last weekend of my show. Ooh. And it has been an amazing ride. I'm finally settled into the role. I feel like my character every time I go on stage, and I really give a performance, whether it's a full house, whether it's half a house, whatever it is, I'm out there and I'm giving everything I have. I'm singing to the gods out there, right? I'm just having such a phenomenal time. It's been such an amazing ride. There's been some really amazing reviews and all this stuff. And that's the sweet part, but it is bittersweet. If anybody's ever been in a production, you get this high from being around your cast. If you have an amazing cast, which a lot of times you do. And so you get around this cast and you do things and you're looking forward to seeing one another. And then you're going out every time the show's over, and you have this camaraderie and this, this way of being for 6 weeks, 8 weeks, 2 months, however long it's been. And now, we're wrapping up. And as much as everybody will say, let's keep in touch, let's stay in touch, let's do things more often. And some of us will stay in touch, but it'll never be everybody in one place. Last night we went out to karaoke and just sang our hearts
people
out.
Feel bad.
No, it was just such a good time. There's such a big group will come out and just enjoy one another's company, eat and drink and be merry. And I love that. And I'm going to miss it. So that's the mess. It's like a performance. I don't know what to call it. It's when the end of the performance is over, or the end of the show is over. There's just a little dip in, not happiness, I don't want to say, but just there's just something that'll be missing for a little bit of grief for the ending of the show and the production and all of that. So that's my mess. I'm very excited to be doing this and to have been offered this role and this part. But I will miss everybody once the show is wrapped. So yeah, that's it. That's my mess.
Okay.
Yeah.
That's as usual, a wonderful mess.
Yeah. It's
a mess nonetheless.
It's a mess nonetheless, but a wonderful mess. You're absolutely right. But that was the mess segment. And now we will dive right into the episode, which, if you'll remember, is episode 69. I don't want to leave, but I gotta go right now. So why did we choose this topic, Rena? Sorry, I need to clear my throat.
So I suggested this topic because I'm having difficulty making the decision to leave certain things and situations, and I just feel like I need support in processing it all. Like,
Yeah.
what is this?
Yeah.
Why? Like, do I need to leave? Like, why? Just have like questions.
Okay. I love that. I'm so excited that this is where we come to get our questions answered, that we use this for ourselves for real. Like, I know we say that every time that this is our podcast for us, but it's so true. We come to this and we bare our souls so that we can have better understanding for ourselves, so that we can cope through this thing called life. I agreed to this topic because I too have had trouble a lot of times making decisions, which I think those decisions oftentimes are whether to leave, whether to stay, what to do in a situation where leaving or staying are the options. And so I definitely wanted to dig this down and really kind of go through it for myself. So I'm really glad that we're doing it. Now, let the people know what the agenda is for the episode.
So the agenda for today's episode, as always, is the DIC, which stands for Define, Impact, and Cope. So in the simplest of terms, in this episode, we define what it means to leave, discuss the impact leaving has had on our lives, and then end things out with how we cope with the idea of leaving. We make each section clearly known so that you can follow along and have this conversation with us, with others, with yourself. So feel free to pause if you need to give yourself time to write, journal, or just reflect, or just keep listening. Do what feels right for you.
I love that. Thank you so much. So now we are to the definition. So leave, by definition, is to go away from someone or something for a short time or permanently. Now, I got that from Webster. Yes, it is also on Google, but I went a little further than just the Google because I found that on Webster.
So you're leaving Google?
No,
you're
I still use
Google
Google.
alone?
Nah, Google's still
for a
my
short
beats.
period of time.
Google's still my hope. But I use Google to find this particular definition, and I thought it was very interesting because it's not just, leave can mean so many things. So I really appreciated this one. So for me, I think when I was a lot younger, I left places often. But not of my own fruition, like not of my own volition, I guess I should say. We moved a lot, and I think it had a significant impact on how I hold on to things or situations as I've gotten older. So that is my definition and kind of a little insight into where we're going to go with the impact. But what about you? What is your definition?
So I defined to leave as making an exit or to proceed without something.
Ooh, okay.
Which is interesting. Yeah. And like you said, I too, like I'm used to moving around a lot, especially as a kid, even now as an adult. I'm used to leaving, but not necessarily because I chose to leave, but because it was either a decision that my mother made, or, I had to leave because of something.
Yeah.
Or I had to leave to go to something.
Yeah.
So yeah, we'll get more into it in the impact, but I just want to say same.
Okay, cool. So now we are to the impact. So when I think of leaving something, I think of change. I think something's about to change, right?
Yeah.
And historically, change has left me feeling anxious. So I was like sitting and pondering and like really thinking about why does change make me so anxious, And there was a lot of change in my life growing up. Yeah. And one of the things that would always change, like I said, was where I lived. So it was where I lived, who I went to school with, where my room would be, where my things would be. And oftentimes those changes weren't, I didn't necessarily feel like they were positives. I didn't feel like the reason we were going was a positive. I didn't feel like where we went was a positive. I didn't feel like the change in my schedule or routine was a positive. I didn't feel excited or happy about the changes, right? So all of those things really created feelings of being unsettled that I've carried with me throughout my life, I feel like. And I believe that's what has caused me to always like fear change. And because of the fear of change, I feel like that kept me stuck in places or situations that were clearly done, clearly not good for me anymore, for fear of what the next thing might be, or fear of what even the transitional period may be, or fear of just the unknown, fear of the, you know, unsettledness of movement. Because when so much is out of your hands as a kid, is just what you can hold on to. And for a little while there, I and this is kind of veering a little bit, but I also started becoming like a tiny bit of a hoarder. I would just hold on to everything that was sentimental. I would hold on to everything, little shit, boxes and papers and this and like just everything. Oh, this wrapper, just all these little things that were of sentiment once I had like some semblance of control. And like really looking into it is because of all of the things that were outside of my control, and all of the movement made life feel so tumultuous and so shaky, you know. And so because of those things, because of this grasp for control, staying put, it was like the greatest sense of not rebellion, but it's the greatest sense of like grounding. Staying put feels like the greatest sense of grounding for me, when all my life has been this topsy-turvy, moving, and this is moving and that's moving, and then we're going here, and this is the, and now life is changing again, and now a split second, and now you got to do, and you know, so staying felt like grounding, but also sometimes it was an anchor into a place that was bad. It was quicksand, and I was sinking and drowning, and not recognizing that, yeah, you grounded all right. But maybe I'm not supposed to be grounded. Maybe I'm supposed to be light. Maybe I'm supposed to be airy. Maybe I'm supposed to be having the ability to change and move and shape and reshift my focus and reshift my energy and continue to do that for the rest. Like, I don't know. But the issue that I have, you know, recognized is that, yeah, those feelings of unease or unsettledness kept me trying to placate and play small and stay safe, because it's what I know. I'm here, and this is it. Let's just stay here, be here, and not try nothing else. You know, just let's just see if we can like hold out for the long haul type shit. So yeah, that's been the impact, I think, for me.
You know, it's funny. It's funny that you mentioned that, because you would think with all the moves that it would kind of become like the norm after a while. And I think it does become the norm,
It
but
does.
it doesn't, like, it's still not a comfortable norm, like at least not for me. I
Yeah,
like
absolutely.
I can move, I can do it, but I'm realizing that, like, you know how there's people who have like a lot of stability and then they crave the excitement of doing something new?
Yeah.
It's like, to me, like, instability has become my norm. So now stability seems like that rush, that
Oh,
something that I
okay.
want to cling on to. It's like, oh, let me stay. So staying becomes scary. It becomes like that
Oh,
exciting thing. Um,
okay. That's
I don't know.
interesting. I
For me, I'm not saying that's for you,
yeah,
but
no,
for
I'm just
me,
saying how differently we, you know, process these things. That's incredible.
I think I'm still processing the impact
Yeah.
of like having to move so much. At first, I thought it wasn't really a big deal, you know, that it was just like, oh yeah, I've lived in a few places, but I don't think I really processed.
Someone found that funny.
I see, like, I'm like, wow, did like my ancestors just laugh at me and so
Yeah.
heartily? Wow. Um, Thanks for that.
Right.
I don't even know what I was saying. Okay, so I don't know, I'm still trying to process this.
Yeah.
I just, hmm, like when you said that, like you cling and you just want to like stay
Yeah.
because moving hasn't always been a good thing.
Well,
I, well,
Okay.
Maybe that's the way I interpret it or receive it. Maybe
Because,
that's the way it jumped out at me because.
And I understand because of how you're feeling.
Yeah. Because
I understand. Because I am a wanderer. You know this. I like to travel. I like to bop around.
But when you were younger.
But because there was no control of mine. So I stay in situations. Now, staying in a place just feels weird to me. To be in one place. I have never lived in one domicile for more than, let me be honest here, maybe like 2 years.
Same.
And even as an adult, these are my choices. I've still never, it may be like 18 months and it's like, okay, let's move to a new spot. A lot of times it has to do with them trying to raise the rent. And I'm like, bet, we'll go somewhere else. But even still, it feels weird. I've never signed a longer lease than a year at a time. I may do 13 months or something like that. And then it's like new place or something, or, renew for another 6 and then we're out. But I've never in my adult life of my own free will stayed in one place and been like, that feels weird. I mean, not that I would have, honestly, I'm not gonna lie, thinking about buying a home and having to stay there,
it gives me anxiety.
Yes.
So when I say
I have to stay here, but when I'm talking about staying, the staying that I'm usually referring to is more like relationships. And I think that also, and I'm kind of talking this out as I'm going through too, but there's been a lot of loss in my life when it comes to relationships. And so I think a lot of times I'm holding on to things because there are other things that I couldn't hold on to, things that I would have wanted to. My relationships with my parents, they're gone. I don't have that in the same way anymore, my grandparents or things like that. So it's like, I'll allow a lot of situations, especially if I love someone or I'm deeply interested or intrigued by someone, I will allow a lot more shit to transpire than that should. That relationship is no longer healthy, but I'm holding on because I know what it is to have no more relationship in that way, and I don't know, it's interesting. Yeah.
I guess, I was gonna try to break things down into like, okay, leaving like a place or like a home,
okay,
and then versus relationships. But for me, I think they're the same thing. I think this is the thing. This is the impact for me. I never get too comfortable.
My God.
I can't get too comfortable. So when I said like stability seems like an adrenaline rush for me, I don't mean it like, oh, it's an adrenaline rush, I'm gonna go do it. Means I meant it more like it's an adrenaline rush, like that scares me.
Yeah.
So that like I feel more settled in being unsettled, because it's like that's the way I have control at any moment, feeling like, I'll have to pick up and go here or go there. That's what I'm used to. But I'm also used to moving, due to somebody else's decisions. I'm not, so the impact is, I don't know if this is for you. So I guess this is a question. Do you feel like you were taught to make those decisions as it comes to like leaving? Do you feel like you were taught to make those decisions on your own? Like, did somebody say, okay, you have a choice in where you get to go? And you know what? No, I learned. I think I eventually learned how to leave, because I sent myself away. Like when I was 14, I decided to go to boarding school. I'm like, you know what? It's time for me to leave.
Yeah.
Because, usually we leave after 2 years. I was in Jamaica for 2 years and I was like, it don't look like this lady's leaving.
Yeah.
And I'm not really vibing with staying here. So let me leave. So the longest place I've really been was at that boarding school.
Yeah.
I was there for like 4 years. And then even with college, I went to like I went to like 2 different bachelor's programs and a master's program that was only a year.
Yeah.
So
that was my longest stint somewhere, but even there I moved around in the campus. I stayed at one school for 4 years, which was it was nice. I'm not gonna lie, I enjoyed being stable there. But okay, so you're asking, did I learn how to leave? Like, what do you mean by that?
Like, did you learn how to like make your own decisions when it came to leaving? Because like I was used to leaving because, you know, my mom had a job. So, okay, we have to go here. Or, I mean, I guess it was my decision to leave when I got a job and I had to go somewhere.
Right.
I applied for it. So, like, I guess you feel like you were, did there come a point where, I just answered the question. That was not the best question.
But tell me though, so I can be a part of it.
No, I'm like, at what point did you feel like leaving became, I guess, your decision? And do you feel like you were equipped to make those decisions? Or like, did you make that decision like willingly? Like, I want to leave.
Well, college was my first decision to leave. So, you know, it was kind of like a rite of passage. I mean, I still want to answer. I'm trying to like think through it and think of what you could have meant by it. But like, yeah, so the first one was college, which was just like a necessity. The next big thing was moving halfway across the country with my girlfriend at the time. And that just felt like also a thing of like, yeah, that makes sense. We're going to do this. Let's do it. And I didn't have a problem with moving. Like I've always moved. So I was just like, yeah, let's do it. And then we moved a bunch in that city. And a lot of that was necessity out of money or more space or whatever. So I feel like my mom made the best decisions for us financially, for her health. I did see her making decisions that were the best for what she could do. A lot of it was financial. When we moved from Georgia to Oklahoma, that was so my parents could go to college and at Oral Roberts University, blah, blah, blah. So that was their thing. We got there and financially we had to move around a lot. Then my mom got sick and needed to be taken care of, be close to her family. So that was a decision she made out of necessity again, moved back to Georgia. So a lot of the decisions that she made were necessities. And a lot of the decisions I made were out of necessity, but some of them were just out of desire. But most of them were out of necessity. And I think moving for desire was a California move. That was my first. It's not necessary for me to be here. And in fact, it makes no financial sense. It actually makes no logistical sense. This was not a smart move, if you will.
I think this is where I'm getting at.
Okay.
Like, how did you get to that point where you were able to make that decision, not like because it made sense or it's something you had to do out of necessity? Like, what was sparked in you that said, you know what, I'm going to leave and go do this?
Oh my God.
And just because I want to.
Listen, the universe, God, Gus, all of them, they made staying in my comfortable necessity move, which was back to Georgia. I went to Georgia initially. I still have shit in storage in my friend's house in Georgia. All of my shit that I packed up when I left Denver, I took it to Georgia because I was moving there for necessity, for smarts. It would make more sense to go where I have people, where I have some backing, some support that would make sense. I got to Georgia. The universe made it so uncomfortable for me there. 3 days later, I kid you not, 3 days later, I flew the fuck out and I have not been back except for to visit. I have not entertained the idea of going back home just yet. So it was out of necessity. It made it, everywhere else felt so uncomfortable. Everywhere else felt so wrong. And I've never...
Can you describe that? Like what that feeling was? Like, what did you feel in your body? What was going on in your head? What made it so uncomfortable?
Jesus.
If you're willing to share.
So everything that could go wrong went wrong. And then in my body, the level of anxiety that I felt was not ignorable. I felt just generalized disease. I just did not feel good. I mean, granted, I was going through a lot, right? This was right around the time that I was like separating from my spouse and all this stuff. And so usually Georgia feels like a safe, like if I go home right now for a visit, it feels like a respite, like I get to come and be refreshed and renewed. And, you know, I feel all those things of being like excited to be home and I'm happy to see my family and just refreshed and re-energized and all that. And it felt the total opposite of that. I was like extremely drained. I was frustrated. I was sad. I was mad. I was scared. I was like all these emotions at one time. And I was just like, I cannot be here. I just cannot be here. My body, well, I didn't rest well. I was sleeping, not really sleeping well. It was just like literally when I tell you I was so uncomfortable, I was the most uncomfortable I have ever been in my life. And I was like, okay, I'm out. I'm out. I didn't come immediately to California. That's not how that story went.
Okay. I was just going to ask you that. I was like, did you know exactly where to go? And I'm asking this because I feel like I'm struggling with that. You know.
Right. Go ahead. I'm sorry.
No, I'd cut you off first, but yeah, I'll continue. Like,
go ahead.
I just feel like I do feel uncomfortable about being here. And I think that's why I've been dragging my feet on making a decision on whether to stay here in this apartment or to move out to the outskirts. And then the thought of staying here, I'm like, this costs too much money. And then the thought of moving to the outskirts, I'm like, well, if I'm gonna move out there, like, what's the point? Like, I could just move anywhere. Like, why? Like, I feel like I'm just gonna move out there just so I can keep working this job I don't like. So it's like, part of me really does just want to put everything in storage. And then it's kind of like, then do what? And it's like, do I just say, put the shit in storage and then see? I mean, I could do that. I could just put it in storage and see, and then, you know, put my dog in the front seat and get some new tires on my car and then like say, okay.
Definitely the tires part.
And this is not sounding like mental illness at all to you.
Listen, when I tell you that sometimes you have to go so outside of your comfort zone to experience what is supposed to be experienced. Because, okay, when I left Georgia, I went to a different state for each month. I randomly went to Minnesota because I heard that they had great bookstores. So I went there and I stayed for a month.
That's such a logical reason.
It was. I saw that Virgos would love Minnesota because they have a lot of good bookstores. I went and I had a dope ass time. I stayed with a Black family. It's really amazing.
Where did you find this Black family? Did you know them
Airbnb?
Already?
No, I did not. Airbnb. I just looked up because, you don't necessarily know when you're looking for rates and stuff, but I found this lady and her family, and they were really dope. Stayed there for like 3 weeks. And then the last week I wanted to try a hostel because I was thinking about leaving the country. And I was like, I would rather see what a hostel is like in the country first before I try it outside the country. So I stayed in the hostel the last week, which was very interesting. Intriguing.
When people use those words, you're not saying it's good.
I'm not saying it's bad. I thought it was interesting. I would do it again if I had to.
Oh, okay. That's not
wasn't
bad.
Something I would like run to necessarily, but it was okay. And then I left there and I went to Texas for a month. Then I went to Northern California for a month. And I came to Southern California for a little bit. And then I went back to Colorado just to get the final, what the fuck are you doing? And I did. I got the final, what the fuck are you doing? I stayed in Colorado another year because I don't learn. Because I don't believe fat meat is greasy, like they used to say. And I think the thing is, I knew for a long time that I should be in California. I always had it in my head for a very long time, but it didn't seem practical, didn't seem smart, didn't seem wise. But I've been here almost 2 years. I've not had a real W-2 job since I've been here, and I've been living. I'm out here living, no. I'm out here living, no. Because somebody has my back. I'm supposed to be here. I know that. And I feel that. I feel at ease here. There are a lot of things that don't go great. I'm not trying to say that everything's perfect, but that generalized disease that I had, that generalized, like, I just feel more at peace here than I have felt in a really long time. And I think, no, it doesn't sound like mental illness to just say, I'm just gonna go with what the fuck my gut keeps telling me. Sometimes like I said, it's a whisper and it's telling you things, and you have a mind. We do. You can ignore that shit if you want to. If you're if it keeps coming up, what's the worst that can happen? Put your shit in storage. You go for a month. You're like, this was crazy. I don't want to do this no more. Get a fucking apartment. But maybe in that month you'll figure out, oh wow, okay, Arizona does keep coming up in my mind, or Canada, or whatever the fuck. I don't know. Whatever is going to come up is going to come up. Hear it. Listen. Okay. Listen. I'm serious. Like,
I know you're serious.
Yes. It does not sound like mental illness, because what's crazy is to stay somewhere where you're uncomfortable. That's what sounds like mental illness. You know?
But part of me is like, okay, am I just like afraid, to settle down? Or is it just like, okay, I'm genuinely unsettled? And I think that's just it. There's no answer. I don't know until I try it. So I'm like, which one do I try first, to settle or to to go roam? Like, which one do I pursue? I got 10 days to figure it out. Well, 9
now. Yes. Yes, and I will say that you have been settled before.
Have I? Where? Oh, there.
And I don't necessarily mean, in a spot, but you've been in a settled state before. You were in a relationship for a very long time. That was a very settling. That's what a lot of people, when they would consider being settled, would mean. You actually bought a home that is considered being settled. Like you've done things that,
but like
you've been settled.
That there's always this kind of like limit to it. Like, yeah, I was settled for a while. But like, even like, for instance, even with buying the house, I kind of, when I bought it, I was like, yeah, I could rent it out to somebody while I go elsewhere.
Okay.
When it came to the relationship, I think there was always this kind of undercurrent of, at any moment, one of us may detach. So, but it's like, it just never happened until it happened. Like, even there was like, we were committed, but like, we were like, don't want to get married. Like, there was like, there's always like an extra step you could take that I wasn't willing to take.
Okay.
And when it gets close to that step, I'm kind of like, all right, let me pull out my magnifying glass to see if this is really what I want to do.
Okay.
Because I think I have like a fear of being like locked in. Like, sometimes it's easier to leave sometimes.
Okay.
Just maybe to leave before you get left.
Okay.
Yeah, it's easier for me to. I think that's one of my questions. Like, is it easier to like go than to leave? And are they really one and the same thing? It's just a matter of perception. Like, am I leaving? I know that's okay. Let me try to break that.
Help me now.
Because normally it's like, okay, you're leaving something.
Okay.
Like, you're leaving a job. You're like, yeah, I left my job.
Yeah.
But technically you're also going somewhere else. You could be like, I'm gonna go be unemployed, or you could be going to a new employment. Like, okay. So it's kind of going somewhere else and leaving the same thing. It's just your perception of what's happening.
Absolutely.
So, and I bring that up because I'm like, okay, it's easier for me to leave, but it's also hard for me to go. And that's weird because they're kind of one and the same thing. So it's like, how is my perception really like fucking with me? Like,
yeah, how is it?
I'm trying to figure that out right now on the fly.
I'm very confused. I think I'm so okay. Like, it's easier for you to say I quit this job than to say I'm going to a new job. Is that what you're saying?
Yes, I think that's what I'm saying.
Really?
Because I feel like leaving, it's like a sense of completion. It's like, okay, I'm leaving that. I'm leaving that in the past.
Okay.
Then to go, it's like, I don't know what's going to happen with that.
Oh, it's the anxiety of the unknown.
Yeah. There we go. There we go. Okay, we processed that. We
processed it. Look at us. Okay. I mean, that's understandable.
But they're not.
I think for me,
you have to
it's
leave something
easier
to
to
go.
go to the unknown than
See,
to leave something that's known. Or wait. It's easier. No. I said that backwards. It's definitely easier for me to, it has been in the past, easier for me to stay than to jump out and go when it comes to relationships and things like that. Jobs and such. I never really gave a fuck enough about a job to be having no anxiety about it. But like, but a place, a home, it's I was never the one to sign the lease first. It would always be my partner because I would always have issues with like, oh, are we making the right decision with this place or blah blah blah. That would always be my issue. So she would just be like, let's just sign, and I'd be like, okay. It's always easier for me to stay where I am than to hop into some new shit. Relationships, places to live, shit like that.
I don't know if it's easier for me to stay. I think it's easier for me to, I want to say it's easier for me to exit, but no, I don't think so. It's definitely not easy for me to go. It's not easy for me to say. Then what the fuck is it easy for me to do?
Right. What is happening?
A whole
Okay.
lot. And not anything at all.
For real. This is a good topic though. I was really glad to discuss it because I feel like I stayed in a lot of things. Just again for that false feeling of stability because it's not stable. I wasn't stable for a lot of those years that I was like married, to be honest. It was not great. I mean, and not to say that I only stayed for the sake of stability, but that definitely was a part and portion of it. Because now I'm out in the world and I'm trying to even see if I believe in love now. I'm like, do I believe in that shit? Do I believe in it for me? And I have to recalculate and recalibrate and rethink through all of these things. When I think about dating someone seriously, I'm just like, oh my God, that sounds horrible. So yeah, it was easier to stay with somebody that I just knew and we just deal with the shit we're dealing with. But then it's like, in reality, that was horrible. I don't want to fucking deal with that shit. But then, you think about all this newness and all this unknownness and like, if I meet someone, are they going to be fucking psycho? Are they going to be cool? I mean, there's just so much that goes into the unknown that makes it scary.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
And you know what? I think to kind of piggyback off of that, one thing that I think I really noticed about myself is that I kind of have to have something to like go towards in order for me to like leave. Like I have to have something that's certain to go towards in order for me to leave.
Okay.
Like I need to see some glimmer of hope. I need to see some type of, rainbow or some ray of sunshine.
What does that look like?
That's a good question.
Like, so if it's let's say your living situation, what does a ray of hope look like?
That's a really good question because that could really help me process. What a living situation. I don't even, in order for me to leave, like say leave here. It's interesting because I don't really care about like an actual apartment. Like I wouldn't move somewhere just for an apartment. I'm used to, or a house or anything. I'm usually moving somewhere because there's work there. Okay. So for me, I guess that little glimmer of hope would be something that I want to do there.
Okay. So what does a glimmer of hope look like? Are you in relationships? You're also waiting for a glimmer of hope outside of your relationship?
In order for me to leave a relationship.
It doesn't even have to be romantic. Let's say it's a friendship.
It usually had the glimmer of hope with, honestly, I think I work differently with like relationships.
Okay. So what does that look like?
I think it has to get to the point where it's just unbearable. And I realize I can do bad all by myself. Okay. Yeah. And that's probably, I probably could, choose to act before it gets to that point. Yeah, but it gets to the point where like I'm like, okay, in order for me to feel free, then I have to separate from this. So I guess some sign that I'm going to be okay
Okay.
by myself. I think that's it. I think even when it comes to like work and all of that, I just need some sign that I'm going to be okay by myself.
Okay, without the job, without the place, without the person. I feel like that's fucking dope. Just a sign. I mean, we have those signs all around us, though. We know these things intellectually. Intellectually, that'd be the part. Like, I hear you, brain, but my feelings is feeling some kind of way. That's the crazy part. I think for me is just I used to pride myself on being able to release people very quickly. And I still can, generally. What?
No, continue.
No, I can generally, but there are, still moments where I have to talk to myself about what I'm allowing in my energy field and in my space. And recognizing that just because we are no longer in contact or communication doesn't mean there's anything wrong with you. And there's nothing wrong with me. Type of situation. I feel like leaving, the thing when I chose the definition, and it said to go away from someone or something for a short time or permanently. And I think that is helping me in my understanding of like releasing things. It could be forever. It could be. A lot of the times when I moved, I never saw those friends again. I never spoke to them again. We didn't keep a phone really. And, back in the day, it was house phone type shit, wasn't really cell phones and stuff. So you move, you don't see those people again. You don't see that house again. When we moved from Oklahoma back to Georgia, we left things there that I cherished as a sixth grader. I never saw those things again. And I think a lot of times when I think of leaving permanently. But I think we also have to keep in mind that it doesn't have to be permanent. Sometimes you leave things so that you can be better or so that they can be better. And maybe you return. You never know. But I think all in all, we have to be mindful of doing what's best for us in the moment, whether it's permanent or short term.
Yeah, I think that's a good point, that in the moment. Yeah. I think it's so easy for me to not make decisions and feel a way about leaving because I'm judging my current leaving in the moment based off of a left that I've done in the past.
Yeah.
I know that sounds crazy, but y'all follow me.
Yeah, I know what you meant.
Like, I'm kind of like, this is gonna happen. Like, even with moving, I'm like, I don't want to move because last time I moved, it was draining. It cost this much,
Yeah.
So instead of like putting all my energy into focusing, okay, how can I make this move better? How can I make it different? It's kind of like, well, I don't want to do it because of all these things that happened that's not even happening in the current moment.
Yeah.
So,
ooh, that's real shit. We definitely attach a lot of shit to the leaving that we're doing now. We're attaching all those lefts that we did before. I know what you were saying. All the other lefts that we did to this leave. And it may not be that. It may not be that. I totally understand what you're saying. And that's real shit.
And to tie that into like the way I define it, to proceed without something, like leaving something behind. That's where like, that's my perception of leaving, to like leave something behind. Like, to me, it's permanent. I don't think it's like, oh, I'm going to come back and circle back. Also, another thing for me is when I have circled back, it's feeling like those things have not usually worked out well for me. So if I have this narrative that like, I can't come back, like I have to just keep going forward towards something that I don't know. And that it's a possibility that I'm leaving something behind. It's like, it's just like perpetual grief. It's like, when will I get to the point where I don't like, it's kind of like, I mean, it's probably how Moses and them felt, just kind of walking to the, to the
promised land.
It's like, when will we arrive? It feels like that. It's like, when will I not have to make decisions and keep going one foot in front of the other and trying to figure out like, and dealing with what's ahead of me and not having any sense of when I will arrive. And maybe that's just it. I can't get so consumed about arriving.
Yeah.
Because deep down inside, I want to be settled.
Yeah.
I just don't know
what
how
does
to
that
do
look
it.
like? What does it look like? What
That's
does
a
it feel
good-
like? Maybe what does
You
it
really
feel
want to
like?
ask me that? Sleep? No, I'm just kidding. I'm just kidding.
Like permanent sleep? What are you talking about?
No, really. What does being settled look like? You know what it really looks like? It looks like
What?
me being at peace.
Mm-hmm. I like that.
And I don't know what that looks like.
Mm-hmm.
I think I only know it as a feeling.
Yeah.
You know, I can't say, oh, because I bought this house in this city and I make this amount of money, that's going to bring me peace.
Yeah.
I guess it's just, and because of that, I guess I just have to go experience it.
Yeah.
But you have to experience a lot of things that disrupt your peace before you know what your peace is. God
Absolutely. Absolutely. And I think you said something though. It is going to always be too much to be looking forward to the end.
Yeah.
Like if you can really enjoy the journey, that's when you know what I'm saying? And I know that's like so cliche to say, but it's real shit. It's if every day you could wake up and say, like, I just saw something and I think I was telling somebody else, they said, all this shit is made up. Life is made up.
Oh, I say that all the time. I wake up and I'm like, I gotta go to this dumbass made up job.
But I'm just saying, if you think of it in a different way, like I make up my life. I am literally my storyteller. I think, honestly, I live in a fantasy world. Now, this may be
I agree.
illness. I don't know. But hush, Rita. No, I really do. I really make my life a fairy tale a lot of times. I have a lot of theme music. I play music all the time. I pretend it's my theme song when I'm walking into places. I'm like in my own space because this is my world. I am writing this world for me. And if it's not going according to how I want this like thing to go, I'm going to try to write some new shit in there, try to add something to the script. I don't know how the story is going to end. I can't write the end yet. I'm a writer, right? Sometimes I have the beginning and that should be good. Then I have the middle and that shit be juicy than a bitch. And I don't know how the fuck that shit gonna end. I don't know. And that's how life is right now. Like I didn't really write the beginning, right? A lot of that was outside of my control. But now I'm in the part of the Nancy Drew book where it's choose your own adventure, my nigga. And I'm choosing my adventures. And a lot of times those adventures means, okay, I'm flipping the page. I'm starting a new chapter. And that doesn't mean the other chapters don't exist. That doesn't mean they weren't written. Doesn't mean they're not a part of this story or part of this book. They're still a part of this book. I'm just on to a new chapter. And whatever that chapter is entailing, I'm going to enjoy that in that chapter. I'm going to be engulfed in that chapter. I'm going to really soak it up and enjoy and dig in. Like, even for this film, the play that I was doing, I've been out every weekend with them, hanging out, tired, no tired, money, no money, it doesn't matter, because I know that I only have 6 weeks with y'all. I'm going to enjoy the fuck out of this shit. I don't know what it's going to end. I don't know who I'm going to talk to after this show is over. I don't know who's going to still be in my life. I don't know, and I don't care. I'm going out. I'm going to karaoke with y'all. I'm going to the bar with y'all. Don't drink worth a damn. Don't drink shit. I'll be having Shirley Temples in that bitch and turning up, you know, but it doesn't matter because I'm enjoying the moment right now, the journey. I don't know if next year I'll book something really amazing or if I'll ever work again. I don't know. That's not what it's about. Right now, it's about this moment, this podcast that we're on right now.
So it sounds like if you're not enjoying the moment, then leave.
Then leave. Then leave. You know what I'm talking about?
Yeah, I know what you're talking about. I was hoping you would pick that up.
Yeah, I love it.
I mean, that is real talk right there. And I think that's my problem. Like, when is enough enough? Like, I don't know if...
Do you feel like you deserve to suffer?
I've been questioning that lately.
Yeah.
I mean, I know you're dead serious.
I'm dead serious only because you have this
endurance vibe, right?
This endurance, like when is enough enough? Enough is enough when you said it was 2 years ago. Leave that job. Leave it. I want you to quit.
But like, you know, I
like,
think I get caught up in the right time. I get caught up in that. And it never seems like the right time because I'm constantly like, I don't even, what does the right time look like? There is no right time.
Was when you said, I'll take this job and you were regretting it then. That was the right time.
With this one, I didn't regret it right then. The other job, I told you I quit the part-time one. So I'm learning.
Okay.
Yeah, I learned.
Okay. But I'm just saying, I mean, I think you have to find your value level. Your value level is going to have to do this here.
I have to value my peace above all else.
Above all else. And that's not to say that you can't be practical because we still live in the 21st and 22nd, whatever. We live in a modern, we still 21st? Yeah. 21st century. We live in a very capitalistic society. And I'm not saying just to hell with everything. What Beyonce told these bitches to quit their job. Bitch, you're a billionaire. Shut up. Y'all need y'all jobs. Don't be quitting y'all jobs if you need them. But I'm just saying, figure out a way to live the life that you want. Peace is going to look different for a lot of people. Peace for me, again, I think we talked about this once before on the podcast. Peace for me is having 20 roommates so I can work what I want to work.
See, that's not peace for me at all.
And that's what I'm saying. You have to find what's peace for you. If peace for you is working $400 a week so you can have your own place, do that. Don't look like that's peace for you either. So I'm saying,
how much did you say to get my own place? How much was that number?
I said you work 400 hours a week.
400 hours. Oh, I thought you said work for $100 a week. I'm like, I can't afford nowhere on that. I'm like, where can I afford to live on my own on that?
No, but I'm just saying, I mean, and I'm exaggerating, of course, with the 20 roommates, but I don't want to work like that. Are you? I am. I've had
you definitely
7.
That's
That's too many for you. I know. But for me, I had nice amenities. So for me, what I like nice amenities. I want to be able to wash and dry clothes in my place. I want to be able to, know that there are no critters about. It was a very nice facility. We had amenities. I'm barely home. I come home to the podcast, eat.
See, I spend a lot of time at home.
I'm out and about. No, so for me,
in the house,
I need a bed that's comfy. I need a little privacy. I need somewhere to store my things. I don't even have a lot of stuff. You know what I'm saying? And if I do a little storage bin, do what I have to do. What I'm saying is find what is okay to let go. Find what is okay to leave. I am okay leaving this, and start with little things of leaving. I'm going to leave this behind. I don't need that. I don't know. Sometimes you have to do drastic shit. Literally, I'm telling you, I left all my shit in Georgia. It's still there. It's still there. I got blenders, my sex toys, child, everything. I would tell you something else, but it sounds kind of ridiculous.
I mean, I'm gonna tell you
the sex toy. I mean,
you just put blender and sex toy in the same category, so you might as well.
They're both appliances, so
okay.
But I'm just saying,
different applications, but
absolutely. I don't know. I guess we need to say how we cope with this thing, right?
Oh yeah, that would be nice. You gotta wake up.
I'm a little tired. It's a little late in the evening. Okay, so how do I cope? I think for me, I cope by taking a breath firstly and looking around for all the changes that have resulted in greatness. Because I'm not gonna lie, sometimes change still, I mean, it's ingrained in me at this point that change is scary. Change is something I have no control over. Change is new. Change is not great. All those things are still in my head because our childhood is our foundation, which is crazy because we had no control over that bitch. But that's the foundation. And now we're just smoothing out the cracks. We're trying to piece and fit and, fill things that were lacking or whatever. So yeah, it still scares me a little, change does. So I look around at the things that changed and then were better. All the things that I was able to accomplish because I have the room, I have the space, I have the time, I have the attention, I have the money, all because I left something else behind. I left a job or a living arrangement or a relationship. More often than not, leaving those things have resulted in better for me. And I cope by focusing on that. because it's easy to focus on the things that you left that you had no control over, whatever. But for me, it's looking at the things that resulted in greatness, that resulted in time. Sometimes that's even like wonderful, that resulted in, like, I'm thinking now, like, I left, I moved out of my last place, and that was like a whole ordeal. And I was just like, oh my God, it's a whole situation. But I left, and then I'm looking at where I'm headed for my new place. And I'm like, wow, I don't think I would have even thought about what's going to happen next if I would have just still been there. I would have still been sharing and blah, blah, blah. Now I have my own space, my own room. Next step is to get my own place fully and maybe a similar price point. So it's just like, wow, to think of what I gave up, to what I left, to what I'm gaining. And that's what I'm trying to make change be. Change is something that I'm gaining. Well, even if it's just an understanding. Even if it,
So instead of leaving, you're going towards something.
Yeah, I'm gaining something, whether it's perspective, understanding, because I'm not saying that everything's gonna always be hunky-dory, because it may not.
I'm sure as I won't.
But I may learn some shit, and I'll be gaining that. I'll be gaining a lesson, perspective, understanding, intrigue, interest. So that's how I'm coping. How about you?
I mean, I feel like what's really apparent in all of this for me is that I need to be aware of like my perception of things, like how I'm viewing things, and be present, focus on the journey, seeing how things work out. Yeah. So, and gratitude. I think at times I get so frustrated that I'm not there yet, that I don't stop and look around and like really kind of be in awe of what has transpired, or really sit with the feelings that I get from leaving situations or from the changes that I've made. It's kind of like, oh, I made that change, I left that, oh well, that's what I'm supposed to do, keep moving. Like there's not that moment to relish in it. So, or even if it's just surviving something, just so I think that's it, like be mindful of my perception and making sure that's always kind of set to gratitude. Like even today, what I told you about the whole tire situation, I was able to default to gratitude for that. I think that's what's been able to kind of make me chill about a lot of things, is when I can focus on being grateful. Like, okay, well, I don't have to leave yet. I got 9 days, so I got time. Or good thing I had that money to get help. So just not always, looking at leaving from a position of lack. I think defining it for me really showed me, oh wow, like you always see leaving as losing something. And I don't, and maybe just switching that perception, like you said, to gaining something. So if I leave here, then I gain what am I gaining? Maybe that's some what money I need to
if
ask.
You move to the country.
I think I focus so much. I think I focus too much on what I'm losing. Or leaving. And I I want to focus on what I'm gaining. So that's it. That's ask myself that question. What am I gaining from this? If I stay, what am I gaining? If I leave, what am I gaining?
I love that. That's actually a really dope perspective. I think that leads us to the recap, which it is all about perspective. I think that was what we've kind of come to the conclusion. Whether you are seeing it as a disruption of your end goal or just a part of the process and enjoying the journey, I think it's all a matter of perspective. What am I gaining from this change? What will happen if I leave this behind? What will I be afforded? What is the time, the attention, the space, the money? What am I going to be afforded? Again, I love that word. By this change, by me leaving this, by this no longer being something that takes up my time, that occupies my space, my thoughts, and really allowing that to be, like Rena said, coming from a place of gratitude is really going to change your perspective on a lot of things, or really changes our perspective on a lot of things. I know it definitely does for me. And I'm glad that you come to that place. It's hard. I'm not even gonna like sit here. I know we do the grace and ease, and I'm grateful that we are coming to that place for ourselves, but it's hard, and it takes some practice, but eventually, because Rena being okay, grace and ease about that tire popping is like growth. I'm proud of you. I am so proud of you. Like, so yeah, I think that's the recap. It's just really changing your perspective.
Okay.
Yeah. What do you think? Did you want to add anything to that?
No, I think that really sums it up.
Yeah.
Like maybe it's not leaving, it's where you're going.
Yeah. Yeah. I love that. Now, did we have any shout outs for this episode?
I do not.
No shout outs. Okay. Well, for me, I would like to shout out to the universe.
See, that's why you get all the favors, just sucking up.
I sure do. Brown nose there, bitch. You know what I'm saying? No, I mean, I really want to shout out the universe for just really looking out, for taking care of Rena, making sure she was safe on that highway. Because
That
you
is
went
true.
all the way to Ohio, all the way to Nashville, all the way back to Ohio. Then you was coming back home before anything
Just an
even
hour
happened.
away from home.
Just an hour away from home. So thank you to the universe for making sure Rena was safe and sound on that highways and byways, as the church folks say. And thankful to the universe for just whatever is coming. I've just been leaning into this idea that the rest of this journey will be done with grace and ease. I will be afforded all the things of my heart's desires, my wants, my needs, and I'm putting that out to you, our listeners, as well. It is time. I am leaning into a soft girl life for the rest of it, and so I'm shouting out the universe for affording me that. Thank you, universe. I accept, and I am willing to do whatever that looks like. And yeah, that's my shout out for this episode.
I love that.
Thank you. I think we are now to my favorite part.
Yes, let's do it.
All right. We are to the meditation. If you are new, we just take a couple deep breaths. We set an intention. We take another couple breaths, and then I let you go about your day. What I want you to do for me is to take a big deep breath. We'll take a second deep breath. And one more deep breath. And now we'll set our intention. I intend to continue honoring what needs to be left, recognizing the good that it did and that it's no longer serving me, and that moving forward, I will be afforded a lifetime of opportunity because I have the space and the room for it.
Okay, I like that. It is my intention to focus on the journey with gratitude, and to be mindful of what I'm gaining from the changes in my life.
I love that. Now we'll take our last set of breaths. Take another big deep breath for me. We'll take a second deep breath. And we'll take our last deep breath. All right. Go out there and flourish, sis. Today, I forgot to say, we've set our intentions. But today doesn't have to be a mess.
But it's okay if it is.
So, Liz, y'all, thank you so much for tuning in again. We thank you for your continued support. Please continue to keep up with us on It's a Mess Sis podcast on IG. And It's a Mess Sis at gmail.com for our Gmail. If you would like to be a guest, if you have any topic ideas, if you just want to say hey ho, all of that, we can be reached. Again, that's It's a Mess Sis at gmail.com. It's a Mess Sis podcast on IG. Is that all? Do we have anything else for the people, Rena?
Nope. Appreciate y'all.
All right. Well, we're gonna catch y'all on the flip side. Peace. It's a mess.
Hey, that's why I can't sing.
It's okay. He's gonna talk over my singing. Okay, it's ready now.